Hi there, welcome back. You're with Terry from Bonsai Tree, and today I'm going to be working on this Juniper procumbens that belongs to a customer of mine. It has been featured on my channel once before, but it's now probably a few years later, and I'm going to be going through the tree, wiring and styling it once more. If you find the following content helpful, then you can thank me by clicking the thanks button just below the video. Because this tree has not been worked on for quite some time, you'll now start seeing a scale foliage, the adult foliage emerging at the tips. And then further back, you'll see the needle foliage of the tree, which generally you would find these trees in this foliage state, the needle foliage state. But this is what happens when you are not, when the tree is not stressed out by pruning or some other factor. It's of course much nicer to work with the adult foliage than the needle foliage, because the needle foliage is very prickly. The process to styling a tree like this is to start at the bottom of the tree. So you're working from the bottom and you're ending at the top. And the process that we'd follow for each section or each branch would be to clean out the pad, removing growth that we don't want, something that's emerging from the bottom or directly out the top, depending, and then also where you have branches right next to each other, or branches that perhaps are starting to create a problem by being opposite, so bar branches. So you're going to look out for branches that are unnecessary, that are potentially going to create problems, and but then obviously you need to keep branches that you can build volume to the pad, and by lifting branches and overlapping them. The timing of this work is late summer. With the juniper, you would see that there would be growth in spring and then again in autumn. By doing the work now, I have got sap flow, so if there are any breaks, they can heal over. I can take advantage of the thickening that'll occur during autumn to help secure the bends that I've put into the branches with the wire. Now, this is very difficult to show on camera, but there's some very important tips that I'd like to share with you. With a tree of this size and with as many branches as this tree has, you're not going to be able to wire each and every single piece of growth. So what you generally would do is you would wire one of two of the branchlets and use that wire to then manipulate the other piece of portion of branchlet into a position that is desirable. We can just use wire to manipulate how this branch lays by placing bends strategically into that portion. The outline that you're going towards is something that's very fan-like, rounded, and you're layering the foliage. So you have the bottom of the pad, and then above that you have something, a piece like this, pieces like this that give you then the volume of the pad. So nothing growing out the bottom, that can be eliminated, and then this gives you that neat crisp foliage pad appearance. This is one branch that has been styled individually. We're now going to move on to the next branch, but then the whole section, the whole pad needs to be read as one. So this line that I've started here needs to be continued. I've now completed the wiring and positioning of this pad, the lowest pad on this tree. And so yeah, you can clearly see what I've mentioned about having a rounded pad. When viewed from the top, you should see a fan-like shape with all the branches originating from the structural portion above here and then moving, splitting out in gentle angles, moving towards the extent or extremity of the pad. And by layering these branches, the side branches, giving them some height, I'm able to build up a little bit of volume in this area. We want this to be fairly sparse, not too dense at this region or at this point in the tree. And now we'll move up to the next branch along the structural portion. When you're creating the foliage pads, on a juniper, the bottom of the cascading branch, you're going to have the largest pad, which is also going to have the largest negative space between the actual structure of the branch or the pad that is made up of those branches. And then as you move up to the apex of the tree, the foliage pads tend to get more and more compact and more refined. And also the spacing between the vertical spacing and from side to side between the foliage pads tends to get smaller. So there's a lot of space, a lot of negative space near the bottom of the tree. And then moving up into the apex until you get to the actual apex, the pads get the smallest that they will be just below the apex. If you remove this wire too soon, the branches are probably going to largely return to the positions that they were before they were wired. You do need to allow a fair amount of wire bite. You don't want the wire to disappear inside the branches, but you definitely want to see noticeable wire bite before you start considering removing the wire. And even when you do then start removing wire, don't remove all of the wire, just remove the wire that is actually biting in, because that's the wire that's causing a problem, and then leave the rest of the wire. I removed a couple of branches to the right of the tree. The reason for that was to help reduce the size of the canopy. The apex should be the narrowest portion of the tree with a sort of a triangular shape. Broadest section of the triangle is at the base of the tree. To compact the apex so that it fits within this shape tapering to the top, this needed to be reduced. I of course didn't just cut it off. It's nice to keep these branches and turn them into gin, and this adds to the character of the tree. There is some movement in the apex, and this helps to create a more dynamic feel in the styling of the tree as well. The reason for using copper wire is that it gives me a stronger hold with less wire. What we want to do is use as little wire as possible. Copper wire, due to the hardening effect, as you work with copper wire and you bend it, it hardens the more you bend it. And so copper wire is going to give me better hold than aluminium would. If you found that content helpful and you'd like to thank me for it, please do so now by clicking the thanks button just below the video. So I hope that you've enjoyed this session on styling this Juniper procumbens, and I hope to see you again next time, and take care until then. Bye-bye.